So there still seems to be a strong domestic focus for whatever reason. Watch the whole video for more kind of details on how this is going to play out this week. Just a reminder that this is meant to be a mundane reading and not at all a personal sun sign or all signs kind of a forecast. Okay, so we are going to jump into the charts for this week, and we're obviously going to start here on Sunday, June 21st. And of course, this is when we're going to have the June solstice and the sun coming into Cancer. And to be honest, that's really all I'm going to say about it. Because my guidance has been always, when it comes to astrology, it's not just about your sun sign. In fact, for even me personally, I'm an example of that, because my guidance on my own chart is that the only reason I have sun in Cancer is because that timing needed to be right for everything else or other things in my chart that was wanted for me to use that energy in the way that I wanted to use it for whatever my purpose is here. Okay, and that my house is that the sun is in is actually more important than the sign that it's in. The sign that it's in carries no weight for me. Personally, they said that energy was never really used at all based on the actual sign, and that there's other prominent chart points in my chart that are more of how I express and who I am than the sun. Okay, and I've also done readings for other people where there were prominent energies in their chart that was not their sun at all. In fact, they wouldn't have related to their sun sign at all because of the other prominent energies that they more related to that existed in their chart that wasn't their sun. And I'm getting now as well that focusing just simply on one point in your chart, and more specifically in this case, the sun, is a very misguided way to do astrology. Because look at this chart. Look at this. Look at all of these aspects. Now I have major and minor aspects turned on, but look at all the points in this chart and look at all those aspects. And you want to focus just on this at the bottom here? Really? Sun is coming into Cancer. All I get with this is an overall kind of background energy of Cancer. That's it. But again, what it boils down to is how this energy is being used. Okay, you go to my website, mysticalmark.ca. Right at the top of the page, there's a little couple sentences, and then what is astrology? I deep dive in on that page on what was guided to me and what astrology is, all of that kind of stuff, and how it differs a lot from, what we have been made to believe what mainstream astrology is. And in fact, even prior to doing this video, as I was kind of thinking about this point, I was guided to the fact that there's a lot of things in like traditional astrology that was given to the people, but it wasn't the truth. It was made to look like the truth so that they think that they had something that, oh yeah, this is how it's used, this is whatever. Because if people truly knew that astrology was how it is used, and that you have free will, and that you have amazing personal power to create the life and do whatever that you want, when people are in their personal power and they know and understand that, they're a lot harder to enslave and control. When you tell people that, oh no, you must use this system, or this must be this, or you only focus on this point, and that's just all it is, and then people get confused and they don't fully understand, and then it seems like this knowledge is gatekept, and this person only knows, and it's all this, whatever. You feel like you can't get a hold of it. You've lost your power. You don't fully understand. But when I'm here saying that astrology is how it's used, you have your own personal power, free will, you can do what you want, that's empowering. When everybody else says, oh, the sun is in this sign, which means this is going to happen and there's nothing you can do about it, that's disempowering. And that's making it seem like this is controlling you, instead of you realizing that you actually have control over this and its effects that it has on you directly. And yes, certain things do happen and certain energies exist, but it's how it is used. How are you going to utilize that? How are you going to respond to certain things? How is your higher self using this energy to try to awaken you, to try to make you aware of things, try to make you learn certain things so you can move forward in appropriate directions in your life? And your guides, your angels, doing the exact same thing to try to help you. They can't intervene, including your higher self, unless you give them permission to. okay? But they can sure as hell try to give you every fucking sign in the world, including using astrology, using the natural energetic cycles to try to wake you the hell up to what it is that you need to do to take action on that for yourself. You want them to help you, you've got to ask them, and you have to allow them to intervene to help you if that is what you want. Otherwise, they will not, because you have free will, because of boundaries, because of consent. Okay? Those are a thing. Didn't think I'd be going this right at the beginning of this video, yet here I am. But yeah. Okay, so that is why I don't focus on the sun sign. That is why I don't do sun sign astrology, because, to be honest, a lot of it is just a load of crap. There is an overarching energy of the sun in Cancer, however, we deal with this every year. We deal with this every year. That's why in these videos I don't even touch on the moon, unless it's like a quarter moon, a full moon, like the larger parts of the lunar cycle. But the moon is in every sign every 28 days, okay? The moon stays in a sign only for like roughly 2 days. And it happens every single month. And yes, there's that energy is there. It's different each time because there's other different energies and going around. But as an overall energy, unless I get guided to something, hey, focus on this, which is usually like full moons, new moons, quarter moons, like the major parts of that cycle, yes, I do that. But, and unless I'm guided to other things, I don't say that because we're so used to the moon constantly shifting like that, that its energy, we're so used to that. Same with every year, the sun in each sign, we're so used to that, right? But it's, and then you could say, well, Mercury moves fast too, other planet. Yeah, that is true. And what my guidance is now is that it's the combination of all of those energies, the aspects, etc., and the unique combination at any given time moving forward within that cycle that are important. You can't just focus on one sole thing. All right? Certain aspects of certain things, yes, have certain ways of affecting each other, but they also interrelate to each other if you've watched past videos where you can see that kind of happen. Okay, and yeah, all right, I'm kind of being drawn. Okay, you're done. You're done talking about this. Let's move on. So, Sun comes into Cancer, whoop-de-doo. Sun is also going to be in sextile to Chiron as well. Okay, Sun in sextile to Chiron. There's, okay, this is mundane astrology, but it feels like maybe collectively we're feeling it a bit more emotionally in terms of where the wound is. This feels like around money, value, worth, material things with Chiron now in Taurus. And it's very much, it feels like it hits close to home. We're feeling it a lot more emotionally. What I'm being guided to say now is, yes, the sun is in Cancer and it has this effect, but it's the combination of this energy, okay? It's not just sun in Cancer. It's now this aspect and the combination of this energy, and that is what is leading to this thing, okay? So they're just reminding me of that, so don't focus on just one thing. And then this is just one aspect as well in this chart of many, and how this can relate, and watch the energy of last week's video and how it relates to Chiron coming into Taurus and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's more to all of this, I think, is the overall overarching message of what is trying to come through here with that. Now, okay, so it just feels like we're going to maybe feel it emotionally a bit more. We're going to really sense it and know its existence in terms of that wound. I mean, we already do to an extent, but it's just like you're really going to feel it. It's going to, what I get a sense of, it's going to hit home a lot more. We're also going to have Venus here in opposition to Juno retrograde. What I get a sense of with this is it almost feels like you're being turned off by certain partnerships, commitments, contracts, etc., whether they're completely and fully ending, being like with Juno and Aquarius, that connection and disconnection that exists with that, and with Juno retrograde, kind of going back over these old things. But it's also, what I get a sense of with Venus and Leo, it's more of like your closer partnerships and relationships, and you're kind of ditching the ones, or only keeping the ones that are valuable in terms of the external partnerships for whatever reason, and anything else that seems like surface level or trivial or whatever else is being kind of disposed of or gotten rid of. Now, this is mundane astrology. This is not a personal reading, okay? So what I mean by that is like on a country level. countries are keeping their close people close to them, and everybody else that doesn't seem of value, or they think like they might be leeching off of them, or other things like that. Nuh-uh. Sorry, that's being like, no, you're not for our progress, you're not for whatever, you can go deal with your own shit. That's what I get a sense of with that. And this opposition is finding balance between your close personal partnerships and then those external partnerships that recognize your own values and your own thing and are like, yeah, we do our own thing, but we want to allow you to do that same thing as well, but we can still work together through that. Okay, those are the partnerships that are going to stick around. And again, this is partnerships that relate mostly to like trade and other things like that, economically, etc., on like the global kind of a scale there, okay? Okay, so that's what I get with that. And I think that's it for Sunday. Let's move on to Monday the 22nd. And actually nothing major on Monday the 22nd, at least not on my list. So let's move on to then Tuesday the 23rd. This is when we're going to have the Sun making aspects to the nodes. So we're going to have this trine to the north node and this sextile to the south node. The nodes soon are going to be switching as well. Okay, so Sun making aspect to the nodes. Seems like we're feeling it now on the home front. All previous videos have had this aspect of a more domestic focus, and now it's like we seem to be maybe more of a highlighted energy in that way, especially in whatever the Sun is aspecting in terms of these wounds to material things. Now, our direction and what we need to let go of, okay? So this feels very more strongly to me. It's like we're feeling it now, and what we know isn't working, and there's certain things that need to be let go of, and that opens the door to this new path forward, albeit unknown. And we're like, well, we've never gone down this road before, we've never had to do this, but we know that we need to go there now. But this feels very much more focused on individual countries, individual cultures, that kind of a thing, in terms of an internal or internalization within the collective within those countries, based on their own unique focus surrounding their own domestic things and what relates to home on their level. Okay, in terms of what's not working, what needs to be let go of, and how, in a lot of ways, they can empower themselves and see this new path forward in that way. Okay, so that is Tuesday the 23rd. Let's move on to Wednesday the 24th. And here we're going to have the Sun in the semi-sextile to Uranus. This is very much an awareness of change and what needs to make progress in change. This is very much feels like an internally emotional kind of thing. It feels like on a collective level, like the populations of each individual countries and their own unique ways as it relates to home as in the country itself. And I'm being drawn to the fact that Mercury is in Cancer here, and Uranus is in Gemini, the sign that Mercury rules, and of course Sun is in Cancer. And so there's this aspect of what I'm getting is the local environment as it relates to Gemini, the home stuff as it relates to Mercury and Cancer within the local environment, and then with Uranus here, that's tying in. All of this energy is kind of tied in together here as well as it relates to this. And with the semi-sextile, there's like an awareness of like, okay, we've got to change and make progress in a lot of these domestic areas in our own way in order to be able to move forward, because we're going to be nothing if we can't focus on ourselves first. Okay, that's a big hitting point here with this right now. Anything else to that? I'm just getting to just leave it at that. Okay, so that is Wednesday the 24th. Interesting. All right, kind of just short little bursts so far this week. Let's look at Thursday the 25th. Being reminded again, the transits peak and wane, so this doesn't happen specifically on these days. It is just, this is what's coming through this week. So it'll be a few days before, a few days after with each thing that I'm talking about here. So we're going to have the Sun here, and it's going to be in a Bi-Quintile to Juno retrograde. this is relating to what partnerships are important for us and what are not. Because when you have this focus on domestic growth, you're like, okay, we can't just keep, giving our resources to other people and to everybody else. We have to focus on ourselves. So what partnerships can stay that are not basically mooching off of us, and where there's actual mutual, they respect us, we respect them, it's not depleting us of our resources, it's a more positive relationship versus the ones that are solely relying on us constantly, and we can't even, it's hard for us to deal with our own stuff because of that. And now there's this, what I get a sense of, it's people working behind the scenes to either end or rework certain partnerships and only focus on what is necessary in a lot of ways. And this is in relating a lot to trade and manufacturing and those kinds of things, or what I get a sense of with this as well. Remember, this is how countries interrelate to each other, and focusing more, okay, domestically we need to work on ourselves in this way, so other things need to be let go of in other ways as well. That's what I get a sense of with that. We're also going to have Venus in trine to Saturn. This relates to this group of people that I've talked about many times before, and I'm not going to get into this too much again. Watch the last 4 videos at least to understand what this is. But there's a group of people that haven't been able to have their voice be heard. They're working behind the scenes on a solution for whatever reason. I'm not being told what this is. We'll see it whenever it comes to fruition. But there's very much the support of Saturn in helping to back them up in terms of appropriate boundaries, restrictions, rules against these other people that were trying to hurt them or put the kibosh on something or whatever. There's this strong support of Saturn in setting appropriate boundaries, etc. with this, and empowering them to continue to do what they are doing. There's a very strong, powerful, both of these signs are very positive masculine energy signs, and that masculine energy is supporting them and set appropriate boundaries and allowing them to continue to do what they're there to do, okay? And that's what I get with that. We're also going to have Mercury here in this Bi-Quintile to the North Node. Again, there's an awareness that on this domestic focus, and that it really needs to be the path forward, at least for right now. It's not always going to be that way. There will be more of an opening up to further trade, etc. Sometime, it feels like far off into the future, but as of right now, the focus needs to be domestic. Sorry, just a slight interruption there. But as I was saying, so Mercury here is in this Bi-Quintile to the North Node. So again, there's this aspect far out into the future of where these trade and partnerships and stuff will continue again between countries, etc. It's just right now there needs to be this focus, like domestically, or this build up for whatever reason to kind of set the foundation in a lot of ways, because we're not yet fully able to be the best global community that we can be to each other, because we haven't really learned to focus on ourselves yet, or put ourselves first. We're stronger when we ourselves have a stronger foundation to be able to help somebody else. If we're just in trade because we have to be, or whatever, or we're relying on that thing, it's like, what if they're not able to serve it anymore? What if whatever can't happen? There needs to be some kind of sustainability and domestic stability first, and then trade can come after that. And then we're much more supportive of each other with that trade because we have a stable foundation domestically. Okay, that's a huge part of this. And I feel like there's a behind-the-scenes concerted effort to now work on this and understand this new path forward in that way. Okay, and with this Bi-Quintile, that's what I get with this behind-the-scenes. There's people working at doing this, and it's not really fully going to be aware unless we're made aware in some way. But there's a concerted effort to this happening. So this may not show up in the news, this may not be whatever, but there is a concerted effort here towards something like this happening. Okay, we're also going to have the sun here in square to Neptune. There's a push. It very much seems like a higher level push, almost either like a divine push, or there's a force behind the scenes. It feels like this could be actual people, or there's something that is there. We don't know that it's there. It is supporting us in whatever way, but it's very much pushing us into a certain specific direction through its guidance, through its support, in whatever way that it exists there. The most basic analogy I could think of is like, your guides helping you or making you aware of something, or there's things like that where it's like there's like divine support. They can't exactly do it for you, but they're being like, hey, be on the lookout for this or do that or something of that sort, okay? But this almost seems like it's not even just necessarily in a spiritual sense, but it's like there's teams of people or something that is behind the scenes helping in a very supportive way. Okay, anything specific? Because this is mundane astrology, so this is obviously geopolitical, economical, that kind of stuff. So how... It feels like countries have support. There's an unknown support system that is helping them in a lot of ways to move forward in a new, positive, more appropriate path, away from the past and the negative shit that has tried to take hold and work things instead. But we're not going to understand this. We're not going to understand this. We're going to see the consequences of it, but we're not going to know that it came from this at all. It's a hidden force, but it's very supportive. Again, with this Aries, I get a sense of this strong, it feels like a masculine energy, but that doesn't mean that it's specifically men behind this or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is there's a very supportive energy, but it's hidden. But it's positive. And we may not know or understand it for what it is, but there is something there that's helping to get things moving in a more appropriate way for whatever reason. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. That's Thursday the 25th. Let's move on to Friday the 26th. Here we're going to have the Sun in this Quincunx to Pluto retrograde. Again, I'm being drawn back to this more domestic focus, focusing on your own problems. You're being forced to focus on your own problems. And again, this is each country individually, domestically. Being forced to focus on your own problems. Have a hard look at them, reevaluate them, rework at them, and look at how you can make appropriate, proper progress in those ways to fix that, and in an eventuality be able to move forward more fully in a global level through trade, etc. But you need to focus on your own shit first. You need to focus on your own shit first. And there's a frustration with that because it feels like progress is being stopped in terms of partnerships, relationships, trade, any of that kind of stuff based on your own country, on your home country. And that's what's frustrating, but you have to look at, you don't have a choice. You have to look at these things in order to be able to heal or transform them, be able to move forward and make this progress an eventuality, right? So that's what I get with that. We're also going to have Venus here in this quintile to Uranus. This feels like people within these countries have been made aware of things that are now in the light, in the spotlight, in whatever. These are people that like work in governments, work in things like that, that are helping like prime ministers, presidents, whatever. And they're understanding this aspect of change, progress. This is related domestically again. This change, progress, and stuff that needs to be made and move forward within their local environments, within these things. There's an awareness here of this. Things being brought into the spotlight in this way. Gemini, Leo, that kind of a thing, okay? Awareness, spotlight, that kind of stuff. And they're working behind the scenes to figure things out and find a solution. But this is more so domestically. Again, there's a very strong domestic focus. We are also going to have... Oh, that's it for today. Sorry, I'm like looking, I'm like, what is going on? There's something else on my list, but it's not happening today. So then we're going to move on to Saturday the 27th here, and we're going to have Mars in semi-square to Saturn. Again, I get a domestic focus with this, and it's taking action towards these material things, but it's aligning it more domestically and creating that solid foundation domestically. And Saturn is there to help you understand your own sovereignty, your own boundaries, etc. Set appropriate boundaries against other people or other countries to look at your own independence and sovereignty first, and then you can go. There's very much grounded between this Mars and Taurus and then this Saturn here. There's very much this grounded kind of an energy to kind of focus. There's almost a restriction as well to focus on your own stuff first. Focus on your own. And again, this is domestically on a country level. This is mundane astrology. This is not something that's personal. But it's to focus on that first. And that's where this is. And that's where it can feel restrictive. But in the end, this is for everybody's benefit that is involved within that country or on that level in whatever way. Okay, Mars is also going to be in sextile to Jupiter. Okay, down here at the bottom. And what I get a sense of with this, in order to expand globally or be a part of everyone with everything on a global scale, you have to have your shit together domestically. This is expanding that focus domestically, taking action materially domestically, understanding your own sovereignty and stuff domestically. You need to have your own foundation, your own set in place, be who you truly are, so much so in that way that your uniqueness is able to help other people in other countries around the world in whatever your own unique way that you can do that. Okay? Instead of us just being like trying to all be the same and help each other in that way. It's like, no, you've got to focus on your own uniqueness first, focus on your strength, focus on building yourself up first, and then you're able to help in your own unique way, and that's going to be the betterment for global trade, global whatever in terms of humanity than any alternative solution. Okay, so that is the end of the week. If you've made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments that I know you're a real one. If you do want a personal reading with me, those links are in the description below, or you can head over to my website, mysticalmark.ca. With that being said, I don't think I have anything else to say, so I hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.